I want to chat a little bit today about being stuck in your moment. And the example I'm going to use on this, and hopefully this will make sense, is, earlier in the year I hurt my back and I was out of commission for a long period of time. It was just like chronic type pain, and it started to feel like it was never going to get better. And when you wake up in the same environment every day, over and over again, it can be pretty tough. Now, in my situation, I just kind of made my peace with it. I know I have back issues, and I just figured, well, this sucks because I didn't want this to last forever. But I guess it is what it is, and it's just the new norm, right? The thing on that is, when you get stuck in a situation where you don't think there's going to be any relief, you acclimate yourself to the situation. Now, maybe this was a bad analogy, but I know that when I was in my relationship, especially with covert narcissistic relationships, as they degrade over time, it slowly happens, right? So you slowly adapt to this new normal and you make your peace with it. And until something happens that really kind of jars you out of that, you don't recognize it. And that's kind of what happened with me. It was basically everything was going on. Every so often there would be something that would kind of blow things up, and we'd have an argument or a discussion, and I would, like, hey, things need to change. I want things to be different, that type of thing. And you know how covert narcissists work. They tell you what you want to hear. You are so desperate to believe it so that you believe it, and you just go back into that normal state. You get comfortable in that normal. It kind of relates a little bit to the video the other day about routine. This brought me into this topic just because I was thinking about it. Actually, I was thinking about it, like I said earlier, about with my back. And oh, by the way, on that, my back is feeling better. I know I still have to take it easy because I do have issues, but I can actually walk. I can move around again, and I'm not limping, and I'm not, impacted in that type of way. So back onto this topic. If you think that maybe what I'm saying makes sense, you need to take a bigger picture view of what you're dealing with and try to take a step back. Because when you're stuck in that, whenever you're in that moment and you think this is your reality, well, because it is your reality, but you think that there's no way for anything to be any different, that's where you need to kind of like take a pause and really take a step back and look to see, is it, well, I would say, is it true? And the answer in the midst of it is going to be, yeah, it is going to be true, because there is no way to get out of it. But there are things that you can do to try to take a little bit of power back in your environment and in your life to slowly try to change what you perceive as normal to something new. Now, if you're in a situation where you're dealing with a very overt, narcissistic, violent type of person, obviously you need to take different steps. That is an entirely different situation where what you need to do is probably keep things as stable as possible while you're trying to plan your escape, and then you just escape for your own safety. For the rest of us that are dealing with somebody who's not quite like that, then you can try to make subtle changes in your environment to try to push things in the right direction. And if they're not willing to change, then as you're doing that, you're teaching yourself, or you're not teaching yourself, you're validating to yourself what you're really dealing with. You're proving that the actions and the words don't match. And then you can start to make educated decisions on what you want to do on your way forward. So I think it's important to talk about, because it's so easy for people just to get stuck in what is going on. That, what is their situation? And it's like, well, that's just the way it is. It's there's nothing can be better. It's just the way it is. Everyone's situation is messed up, and you reinforce the situation you're in or the environment you're in with what you're thinking internally, what you're getting externally from people, society. I haven't made a video about this in a while, but that whole stereotype that if your husband won't talk to you, and men can't communicate, and women, there's whatever, all the different stereotypes. It all reinforces a lot of this negative behavior. to where you make excuses for it. And that doesn't get you anywhere, right? You need to be able to communicate with these things, talk about these things, and work on your relationships, try to make it better. And if you can't, if you try to go down that road and you're getting basically reality slapped in front of your face, then you know that you have a significant problem. Now, to caveat this, what I will tell you is that in my early stages of my relationship, my marriage falling apart, you know, we went to marriage counseling. I pushed for that, and we started doing that. And I got really frustrated, and I remember at one point I was thinking to myself, wow, if I don't back off on the way I'm approaching this, this marriage is over. So I tried to back off to try to not be so absolute, I guess, in the way I was dealing with things. And ultimately, you know, and when you're dealing with somebody who's unreasonable and isn't willing to try to work with you and isn't willing to try to make any compromises or even have a discussion about it, it's a lost cause. So that's ultimately what happened in my situation, but it took me 21 years to get to that point. 21 years. God. You know, when I think about that, it's like, wow. But that's what I'm talking about. I got caught in that was my normal, that was what real life was, that was what reality was, and I made my peace with it. And I think a lot of people do. I think a lot of people get just whatever their situation is, they accept it, they find a way to cope, typically by not communicating, because generally communicating, especially with a toxic person, doesn't accomplish anything other than create drama. And if you're dealing with someone like that, more than likely they're pushing your buttons constantly, so you never really get a chance to try to come up with an issue because you're basically walking on eggshells the entire time because you don't want to rock the boat anymore. So to wrap this video up, my point is, if you think that you're trapped in your situation, that's a really common way to think. Even if you're at the early stages of this and you're starting to learn, you can say, oh, but I'm, you know, but oh this, oh, but for that you're stuck. And this situation isn't easy, to be perfectly honest. The time that you spent in the past isn't easy either. I mean, those 21 years I was talking about, they weren't the easiest in the world either. So you only have this one life. You only have this one opportunity to really live it and to try to get the most joy, peace, love, the fulfillment out of it as you can, right? So it's in your best interest to try to make the most of your life, and if things aren't working, coming up with ways to try to either improve your situation or to escape the situation. So on that, I'm going to wrap this video up. Hopefully this video made sense. I'd love to hear your feedback on what you think. I'm trying to kind of change the dynamic and the direction I'm going with some of these videos. I would love to hear about that in the comments below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you like the channel, please subscribe, and I will chat with you in the next video. Take care. Bye.